Yes, very good afternoon, students. In the previous session, we have seen the refining of petroleum and the fractional distillation process, and what are the applications of individual fractions in the crude oil. So here, individual fractions are the lubricating oil, diesel, kerosene, petroleum ether, LPG, and CNG, and the heavy oil. So these are the individual fractions we have separated in the refining of petroleum process. But in refining of petroleum, we have seen what are the hydrocarbons and what are the boiling point ranges of the individual fractions. We have seen the top most oil is the petroleum ether, and whereas the bottom oil is the lubricating oil. Here, lubricating oil is having the highest boiling point and which is higher hydrocarbon, and whereas the petroleum ether, it is having the least boiling point and it is the least hydrocarbon. So in the cracking process, we can synthesize the topmost oils in the refining of petroleum by using the bottom oils. That means by using higher hydrocarbons, we can synthesize the lower hydrocarbons in the cracking process. So let us see what is meant by the cracking now. Cracking is nothing but it is a name given to breaking up large higher hydrocarbons into smaller and more useful bits. So cracking is nothing but breaking up larger higher hydrocarbon molecules into smaller hydrocarbons. That is meant by the cracking process. This is achieved by using high pressures and temperatures without a catalyst or low temperatures and pressures in the presence of catalyst. So we can do the cracking process by using two methods. The first method is in the presence of higher temperature and the pressure without using the catalyst. But whereas in the second method, we are maintaining the lower temperature and the pressure by using catalyst. So these are the two different methods in the cracking process. But simply what is meant by the cracking? Cracking is nothing but breaking up of higher hydrocarbons into lower hydrocarbons. So there are various types of hydrocarbons, there are various types of cracking process based on the methods, and one is the thermal cracking, catalytic cracking, steam cracking, and hydrocracking. So these are the various types of cracking. Thermal cracking, it is a simple method. Catalytic cracking, and it is also called as a cat cracking, steam cracking, and the hydrocracking. All the process above vary in reaction, so product is also changed. Mostly commonly used in is catalytic cracking. So here the reactant and the product are different in the individual cracking method. But here the most preferable method is the catalytic cracking. So today I'm going to explain you about the catalytic cracking, which is part of your syllabus. Remaining types of crackings are not part of our syllabus, and one more, catalytic cracking is the best method among all the methods. But why cracking process is carried out? What is the major reason to carry the cracking process, to follow the cracking method? But before that, already we have synthesized the individual fractions in the refining petroleum process. We have synthesized and we have separated the individual fractions. But why to prefer the catalytic cracking? Let us see what are the main things to carry the catalytic cracking process. The main aim is to increase the quality of fuel. So here the quality of fuel is more in the catalytic cracking process, and to increase quantity of lighterness. Yeah, not only quality, we can get the good quantity, that means the good yield in the catalytic cracking process. To obtain more desirable products, we can get the more desirable products here, and to decrease the amount of residuals. Residual is nothing but the waste products. To decrease the residuals also, we are using the catalytic cracking method. So these are the four important aims in the catalytic cracking process, but to increase the quality, to increase the quantity, to decrease the residuals, and to get the more desirable products. So this is the main aim of catalytic cracking. Catalytic cracking is reforming breaks complex hydrocarbons into simpler one molecules. that is named with the catalytic cracking or cracking. So in cracking process, the higher hydrocarbons are breaking into lower hydrocarbons. Catalytic cracking comprises a complex network of reactions, both intramolecular and intermolecular. And it is having the complex network and it is a big process. And here it is both applicable for intramolecular and the intermolecular. Intramolecular is nothing but in between the two different molecules, and intermolecular is nothing but in between the same molecule. In the same molecule, that is called the intermolecule. So use of a catalyst in the cracking reaction increase the yield of improved quality under much less severe operating conditions than in thermal cracking. So whereas in thermal cracking, the process is very lengthy, but whereas in the catalytic cracking, we will get more yield. Yield is nothing but the quantity of the compound. Not only yield, we will get the good quality of the compound compared to the thermal cracking. So we are having some drawbacks in the thermal cracking. What are the drawbacks? This is a lengthy process and we are not getting the good quality and the good quantity like the catalytic cracking. Typical temperatures are from 850 to 950 Fahrenheit at much lower pressure of 10 to 20 per second. So here 20 degrees centigrade we are maintaining here. So no need to maintain the much temperature and much pressure here. Here we are maintaining very less temperature, that is around 850 to 950 Fahrenheit and 10 to 20 pressures. And the catalyst used in refinery units are typically solid materials such as zeolite, aluminum hydrosilicate, treated bentonite, clay, etc. But in offline classes, I have explained by using alumina catalyst. So not only alumina catalyst, we can use even zeolite or aluminum hydrosilicate. Yeah, these are also acting as a good catalyst to get more quality and a good quantity of the compound. So these are acting as the catalyst here. And here the catalyst is especially in the solid state. So this is the catalytic cracking here. And now let us see the cracking of petroleum. That is cracking of lubricating oil. And our aim is getting the gasoline or getting the synthetic petrol by using the lubricating oil. That is the main aim of the moving bed catalytic cracking. But first, let us see what is the cracking of petroleum. Cracking of petroleum hydrocarbons was originally done by thermal cracking, which has been almost completely replaced by catalytic cracking because it produces more gasoline with a higher octane rating. So I said now the thermal cracking is not giving the more yield like a catalytic cracking. So we are replacing the thermal cracking with the catalytic cracking to get the high quantity of the compound. But the both methods are almost similar, but in thermal cracking, we are maintaining higher temperature and higher pressure. But whereas in the catalytic cracking, by using the lower temperature and the lower pressure in the presence of catalyst, we are doing this process. And the main thing is we must get the more yield and the good quality of the compound. So what we are synthesizing, we are getting the gasoline. I said now gasoline is also called as a synthetic petrol. We are synthesizing petrol by using moving bed catalytic cracking. But here we are having the three basic functions in the catalytic cracking process. Those three functions are reaction, regeneration, and fractionation. These are the three basic steps are involving in every catalytic cracking process, whether it is moving bed catalytic cracking or the fixed bed catalytic cracking. In the reaction process, the feedstocks reacts with catalyst and cracks into different hydrocarbons. That I explained in the offline classes. We are using the two different chambers. One chamber we are heating the lubricating oil, and in another chamber we are heating the reactant, that means the catalyst. Yes, so these are the basic reactions that are taking place in the reaction. Feedstocks react with the catalyst and cracks into different hydrocarbons. Initially, the crude oil, that means the lubricating oil and the catalyst, these are heating in the individual chambers, and this vapor is sending to the reactor. In the reactor, reaction is taking place, And from this reactor, we will get the vapors. These vapors are sending to the fractional distillation chamber. The next one is the regeneration. Catalyst is reactivated by burning of coke. So again, we can reactivate the catalyst by burning of the coke. That means this is the regeneration process of the coke. That means the catalyst. And the last one is the fractionation. I said now through the reactor we will get the vapors. These vapors are sending to the fractional distillation chamber. In fractional distillation chamber, fractionation is taking place according to the boiling point, like the refining of petroleum. So cracked hydrocarbons or steam is separated into various products. That is called the fractional distillation chamber or the fractionation. Here in fractional distillation chamber, we will get the individual oils according to the boiling point. That is called the fractionation. So we are having three basic steps in the catalytic cracking. One is the reaction, regeneration, and the fractionation. So I said in the class types of catalytic cracking: moving bed catalytic cracking, fluid catalytic cracking, it is also called as a fixed bed catalytic cracking, and thermofor catalytic cracking. But in our syllabus, we are having only moving bed catalytic cracking. So I'm going to explain you only moving bed catalytic cracking, not the fluid and thermofor catalytic cracking. So these are the fluid catalytic cracking. But now I'm going to explain you about the moving bed catalytic cracking. See, here we are having like this. This is like the fractional distillation chamber and reaction and the regenerator. Here all these equipments are present in the fractional distillation process. So this is the process which we have in the syllabus. See here, initially the oil is nothing but the lubricating oil is heated in the preheater or the iron reserve. And this is the catalytic hopper, the catalyst hopper. But in offline session, I explained the catalytic chamber separately. But in the place of chamber, we are having the hopper here. In catalytic hopper, in catalyst hopper, catalyst is heating, and in the lubricating oil, in the heater, lubricating oil is heating. The oil vapors and the catalyst vapors are sending to the reactor. So when these are sending to the reactor, these are heated at the 500 degrees centigrade temperature. So now this mixture of the catalyst vapor and the lubricating oil vapors are reacting with each other to produce the vapors. And now these vapors are sending to the fractionator. In fractionator, we will get the individual oils. We are getting the individual fractions like our fractional distillation chamber. And here we are getting one of the oil, that is the gasoline. So we are sending only the gasoline vapors to the condenser. In condenser, the vapors are converted to the liquid. So finally, this liquid is collecting, that is the gasoline. Yes, but in our offline session, I have drawn two more the chambers. One is the cooler, and another one is the stabilizer. Finally, in the stabilizer, we are separating the remaining impurities and getting the pure gasoline in the good quality and good quantity. Yes, that is moving bed catalytic cracking. Yes, so moving bed catalytic cracking is very, very important in the external examination. No? So let us see the next topic, that is gaseous fuels. In our syllabus, we have the CNG and LPG also. Let us see that. CNG is nothing but the compressed natural gas, and LPG is the liquefied petroleum gas. So in our syllabus, we have the CNG and LPG applications and the uses and what are the compositions. Let us see the compositions. A compressed natural gas. When the natural gas is compressed, it is called the compressed natural gas. The primary component present in CNG is methane. So the primary component, that means the main component present in the CNG is the methane. So CNG is also called as the methane gas because it is existing in the major content in the CNG. So CNG is also called as a methane gas. It is mainly derived from the natural gas. So by compressing the natural gas, we are getting the CNG, and the natural gas can either be stored in a tank of a vehicle as compressed natural gas at 3000 or 3600 pressure, or as liquefied natural at typically 20 to 150 pressure. So here this is the pressure range in the cylinders. That is the compressed natural gas. This is the average composition of all these elements in the CNG. So majorly containing methane. Along with the methane, it is also contain ethane, propane, butane, and pentane. Methane is existing around 88.5% and ethane is existing around 5.5%. Propane 3.7%, butane 1.8%, pentane is existing in the 0.5%. So these are the individual fractions present in the methane gas, or it is also called as a CNG. But in CNG, methane is existing around 88.5%. CNG, I said now how the CNG is synthesizing. CNG is synthesizing by compressing the natural gas. That means by applying the pressure on the natural gas, you can synthesize the CNG. And to less than of the volume it occupies at standard atmosphere pressure. It is stored and distributed in hard container at a pressure of 200 to 248 bar. Bar is the unit of pressure, usually cylinder or spherical shape. So we are storing in the CNG in the cylinders at this pressure, that is 200 to 248 bar. At this pressure we are storing in the cylinder. And CNG, let us see what are the properties and the applications also. CNG is one of the cheapest, cleanest and environmentally impacting alternative fuel. So nowadays in the automobiles, in the autos, we are using the CNG as a fuel. It is replacing diesel and petrol nowadays. And vehicles powered by CNG produce carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon emission. It is less expensive than petrol and diesel. The ignition temperature of CNG is around 550 degrees centigrade. These are the properties of the CNG. Especially CNG is less harmful than the remaining fuel. CNG requires more air for the ignition. This is only the drawback of the CNG. It requires more amount of air for combustion or ignition. And uses of CNG is used as a run on automobiles, vehicles just like LPG. And advantages of CNG over LPG. CNG produces less pollutants than LPG. CNG is cheaper and cleaner than LPG. The octane rating of CNG is high than the thermal efficiency is more. It does not evolve sulfur and nitrogen gas. It mixes very easily with air than the other gaseous fuels. Noise level is much less than the diesel. CNG vehicle limit 40% less of nitrogen oxide, 90% less of hydrocarbons, 9%, and 25% less carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. So these are the advantages over LPG. So what are the advantages? CNG produces less pollutants than LPG. It is not harmful. It is not releasing more amount of pollutants in the environment. CNG is cheaper and cleaner than LPG. Because of clean only, it is giving less amount of pollutants in the environment. And CNG is very cheap compared to the diesel and the petrol and LPG. The octane rating that we will see in the next classes what is mean with the octane rating. The octane rating of CNG is high than the thermal efficiency is more. It does not evolve sulfur and nitrogen gas. These are not releasing sulfur and the nitrogen gas. It mixes very easily with air than the other gaseous fuels. The remaining gaseous fuels are polluting the environment. These are not mixed up with the air. But the CNG is easily mixed up with the air. And the noise level is very, very less than the diesel. And CNG vehicle limit is 40% less of nitrogen oxide. 9% less of the hydrocarbons and 22% less of the carbon dioxide. And let us see the comparison. Petrol driving vehicles and the CNG driving vehicles, especially hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide are releasing from the internal combustion engines. In petrol driven vehicles, we are getting around 0.92 carbon monoxide grams per kilometer, but whereas CNG driven vehicles are releasing around 0.05 grams per kilometer. And whereas hydrocarbons are releasing from the petrol driven vehicles around 0.36 grams per kilometer, but whereas CNG driven vehicles are releasing around 0.24 grams per kilometer. So compared to the petrols, CNGs are releasing less pollutants in the environment. So CNG is preferable than the LPG. And now applications of CNG. CNG is a fossil fuel, a substitute for gasoline, diesel or propane. The propane gas is also called as LPG. CNG may also be mixed with biogas produced from landfills or wastewater, which does not increase the concentration of carbon in the atmosphere. Cars and locomotives. Yes, in these also we are using the CNG. These are the main applications of the CNG. Now let us see what are the differences between CNG and LPG. We know LPG is stored in the cylinder, but whereas CNG, which we are getting from the earth crust, from the natural gas, so which we are storing in the pipes also. And the last topic is liquefied petroleum gas. It is also one of the gaseous fuel, which is also getting from the natural gas. LPG full form is liquefied petroleum gas or liquid petroleum gas. It is obtained as a byproduct during fractional distillation of crude petroleum oil or by cracking of heavy oil. We have seen these two topics in the previous class. The fractional distillation. In fractional distillation, through the outlet we are getting the uncondensed gases. Those are LPG and CNG. And not only in the fractional distillation process, even in the cracking process also, we are getting the uncondensed gases. One of the uncondensed gases is LPG. So here we are getting the LPG from the fractional distillation process and as well as cracking process as the byproduct. It consists of propane and the butane. Especially the LPG is having propane and butane in the major content. It can be readily liquefied under pressure. That means if we apply more pressure on the LPG, it is easily converts to the liquid state. So you can also call as a liquefied pressurized gas. Liquefied pressurized gas is nothing but by applying the pressure, it is converts to the liquid. So it can be economically stored and transported in cylinders. Because when it comes out, when we are storing in the pipes or when it comes out, the pressure of the atmosphere is more, but under high pressure, these are converted to the liquid. So to avoid that, what we are doing, we are storing those in the cylinders. And the average composition of LPG is, especially it contains N-butane, isobutane and the propane. N-butane is existing around 38.5%. Isobutane is existing around 37%. And propane is existing around 24.5%. These are the individual fractions or individual percentages of these hydrocarbons in the LPG. And its calorific value is around 25,000 kilocalorie per meter cube. This is the calorific value of the LPG. And varieties of LPG bought and sold include mixture that are primarily propane and primarily butane, and most commonly mixes including both propane and butane and isobutane depending on the season. But especially we are having in the cylinder either either propane or butane. But sometimes the propane and butane and isobutane also mixing with each other, and this mixture also stored in the cylinder. This mixture also acting as the LPG. So this variation of the mixtures are depending on the season. So based on the season, we can change the composition of the LPG cylinders. In winter, more propane. In summer, more butane. So especially in the winter, we are using the propane mode, and whereas in the summer, we are using butane mode. Propylene and butylene are usually also present in small concentration in the LPG. A powerful odorant ethane thiol is added so that leaks can be detected easily. Yes, so here generally the methane, that is propane and butane, these are not having any smell. But for identifying the leakage, we are adding one of the chemical. That chemical is the ethane thiol. By adding ethane thiol, we can recognize, we can identify whether the leakage is there or not. Yes. So only by identifying, we are adding the ethane thiol, which is having the more pungent smell. Yes. So this is acting as the odorant in the LPG. But remaining all the hydrocarbons are the odorless here. Whatever the hydrocarbons are present in the LPG, those are the odorless. So now let us see the uses. It is used as a domestic and industrial fuel. It is also used as a motor vehicle or motor fuel. So we know what are the applications of LPG where we are using the LPG, especially in the domestic purpose, especially in the kitchen we are using the LPG. But nowadays we are using CLG and LPG in the autos instead of the petrol to release a less amount of pollutant. So now let us see the last one, that is advantages of LPG over gaseous fuels. LPG consists of hydrocarbons, so it can be cleanly without leaving any residue. That means it is not releasing any residue, is nothing but the byproduct. The LPG has higher calorific value than other gaseous fuels containing hydrogen or carbon monoxide. The calorific value is 7 times higher than the coal gas and 3 times higher than the natural gas. So if its calorific value is more, it is the best quality. Calorific value is nothing but the amount of heat energy released. That is called the calorific value here. So here it is having more calorific value. Its calorific value is 7 times more than the coal gas and 3 times more than the natural gas. LPG is characterized by high thermal efficiency and heating rate. So these are the advantages of LPG, and it is easy to manipulate. Comparatively, it is less of health hazard, excess in case of leakage, except in case of leakage. That means if there is any leakage, it is very, very harmful. But otherwise, it is not harmful in health wise. Needs little care for maintenance. That means just we must take care of the leakage. And it is free from carbon monoxide, so it is less hazardous. That means carbon monoxide is not releasing from the LPG, so it is not much hazardous. And now let us see what are the disadvantages of LPG over the other gaseous fuels. Due to its faint odor, leakage cannot be easily detected. Its octane value is low, but remaining octane value is more. Handling must be done under high pressure only. LPG is suitable only for the engines working under high compression ratio. If the compression ratio is more, then only we can use the LPG in the internal combustion engines. Otherwise, we can't use LPG in the place of diesel and the petrol in the another vehicles. That means LPG is depending on the compression ratio. Based on the compression ratio only, we can use the LPG in the vehicles. Next, applications of LPG. It is increasingly used as an aerosol pollutant, propellant, and as a refrigerant, replacing chlorofluorocarbons in the effort to reduce damage to the ozone layer. So we are using LPG also in the refrigerants. Previously, we used to use chlorofluorocarbons in the LPG, but these chlorofluorocarbons are very, very harmful, and these are depleting the ozone layer. That means it is decomposing the ozone layer. So due to that, we are getting the ozone layer depletion. There are various drawbacks of the ozone layer depletion that you can see in the EVS, the fourth unit. What are the disadvantages of the ozone layer depletion? And when specifically used as a vehicle fuel, it is referred to as autogas, Other industrial applications include it is used in portable glow lamps, soldering, welding, annealing, hardening, brazing, steel cutting, etc. So here these are the other applications, these are the unknown applications of the LPG. Yes, so this we are using in the vehicles. Based on this, it is running. Thank you so much, ma'am. With this, completed the gaseous fuels also. We have more one topic, that is the Dulong's formula. With that, we can finish the unit course. Thank you so much.